Okay, now we're going to begin chapter 19. This is the first video talking about social media and marketing. Just with all the other chapters, you have the learning outcomes, and you're going to want to be able to do what they say. Again, describing, explaining, evaluating, understanding. Just make sure that these 7 topics are things that you're able to understand moving forward and preparing for the unit exams. Now, talking about social media, this is a topic that a lot of you, I'm sure, are very familiar with, but you also have to think of social media from a marketing standpoint, not just a consumer standpoint. That part you have down pat. The marketing standpoint is just the new twist on this for you. From a marketing standpoint, social media can be defined like relative to traditional advertising being like television, magazines, radio, things like that. And that traditional marketing media, like your television and your magazines, they offer a mass media method of interacting with consumers. Many people can see it or hear it at one time, whereas social media offers more of a one-to-one way to meet and interact with customers if handled properly and correctly. It at least presents that opportunity. For social media tools and platforms, now social media has several implications for marketers the way that they interact with their customers. There are just 5 quick notes that I want to make here. All right, first, marketers must realize that they often do not control the content on social media sites. They have control over what they put there, but anything else they really do not have control over. Second, the ability to share experiences quickly and with just vast numbers of people can really amplify or increase the impact of word-of-mouth advertising in a way that can have a huge effect on the company's sales and profits, their bottom line. Third, social media does allow marketers to listen to customers as well. Fourth, social media provides more sophisticated methods of measuring how marketing and marketers meet and interact with consumers compared to the traditional advertising. And lastly, social media allows marketers to have much more directed, meaningful conversations with customers. You can get that one-on-one, that direct feedback, answers to questions that you don't have via other traditional forms of advertising. Now, social media has also changed the how and the where, even the when conversations take place. It makes interactions from person to person global, worldwide, on a much easier scale as well. Now here's you can see some interesting stats that are on the slide here, but in addition to that, some additional interesting stats that I wanted to share. 1 in 4 smartphone users own a tablet as well. In the United States, 90% of American adults own a cell phone. 45% own a smartphone. Those numbers increased to 93% and 63% for young adults between the ages of 18 and 29. So the young adults, the numbers increased drastically yet. Also, among all adults, 55% access the internet on a mobile phone. 40% have access to social media website on their smartphone as well. So social media is able to be accessed no matter where people are for the most part, on the go, not just at a desktop or laptop computer anymore, wherever they're at. Okay, social commerce, you can see what it is on the slide. Just a piece of information for you is that social commerce in 2014 generated almost $24 billion. $24 billion. So it's something to definitely keep in mind and to be able to be used moving forward as a marketing team. Most marketers will typically employ a social media strategy alongside the traditional channels. Many marketers are increasingly incorporating social media into their advertising and marketing budgets now as well. It's something that has to be done. I know that this is something that the Hershey Bears have done over the past couple years, and their social media budget has been increasing every single year as well because they see the benefit of it. Crowdsourcing, which is simply just using consumers to develop and market products, is an example of how social media has just enabled companies to use the input of many people, many consumers, rather than just relying on the input of a few people in their marketing department within their company. Okay, so you're relying on many instead of just a few. All right, definitely know that your media is broken down into 3 different categories or types. Owned media is online content that an organization creates and controls. Earned media is PR, or public relations term, relating to free media, such as anything that's like mainstream media coverage. And paid media is content paid for by a company that is placed online. All right, to leverage all 3 types of media, marketers must follow a few key guidelines that are stated on this slide. Okay, so be aware of those. If they balance them correctly, all 3 types of media can be powerful tools for interactive marketers. They can be a very powerful and very, very effective tool moving forward. Just like with any conversation, you don't want to have just a one-sided conversation. You want to make sure that both parties are listening to what everybody's saying. So when you're using social media as a marketer or even as a consumer, make sure that you are taking an active part in listening as well. Social media monitoring is the process of identifying and assessing what is being said about a company, what's being said about their products, their brand, even people within the company. Okay, you got to be able to know what's going on and what's being said. It can involve what's called text mining, specific keywords on social networking websites, on blogs, discussion forums, review sites, and any social media in general. And once a company starts listening, it typically wants to develop a more formal approach to it. Social media monitoring can become a very effective way of identifying and assessing what is being said about the company or the brand or the products or anything like that. It can be a very, very useful tool. All right, I would recommend knowing the 8 stages of effective listening. Okay, stage 1 through 8. Okay, just pay attention to these, make sure that you are aware of these, being able to list them. I'd also recommend being able to list and explain the social media objectives that are listed on this slide. These, in essence, are just practical ideas that marketing managers should consider when setting objectives or goals for social media. All right, this slide is listing and showing some of the top social media metrics used today. However, these measurements are only valuable if they are tied to performance indicators that allow the marketers, the managers, the marketing team to see how social media has directly impacted the business. If there's no way of actually measuring the effectiveness of them, there's no reason to have them. Okay, you have to know if they're being effective. And also, you got to remember about ROI, return on investment, because given the relative ease and efficiency with which organizations can use social media, a positive ROI, return on your investment, is likely for many, if not most organizations that use it, because it is very inexpensive to incorporate, and there's such a big potential return from a small investment that it's a wise choice. Next slide here, categories of social media users. You definitely want to know these. You definitely want to be able to list these, be able to explain them as well. Okay, so as we go through these here quickly, starting with the creators, those are the people who produce and share online content, things like blogs, websites, articles, videos, things like that. Critics are the people who post the comments. They'll put the ratings down, they'll review products, things like that. Collectors are those who use the feeds to collect information and then vote for websites online. Joiners are those who maintain a social networking profile and visit other sites. Spectators are the ones who will read the blogs, watch the podcasts, the videos, or I should say listen to the podcast, watch the videos, just like that kind of person. They just take part through the observation side of things. Inactives are the people who just don't do any of those things. People who are new to social media that are considered rookies are listed in the joiners portion. Okay, just a couple more stats here for you to be able to see how they're broken down. And this slide is where I'm going to stop video number 1. All right, so be ready for video number 2. Just remember that your test is going to be coming up next class. Be ready for that. And this weekend, Friday through Monday, is when the online portion of the test will be available.